Hello, bookworms. Welcome to another Read Aloud. I have another interesting story to tell you today. And we always have a theme. So, our story is centered around International Women's Day, which is on March 8th. And this theme is all about women who can do great things, or women who are doing great, amazing things. Women just like your mom, your aunt, your sister, your cousin, your teacher, your neighbor, anybody. As long as you're a female, you're capable of doing amazing things. The title of the story is A Tiny Seed, the story of Wangari Maathai. Author is Nicola Richdick and illustrated by Maya Mashark. As you can see in this first page, we can see a mountainside filled with some trees and elephants and a giraffe, and it looks so green and beautiful. Let's see what the story is about. In a village on the slopes of Mount Kenya in East Africa, a little girl worked in the fields with her mother. Her name was Wangari. Wangari loved being outside. In her family's food garden, she broke up the soil with her machete. She pressed tiny seeds into the warm earth. So Wangari loved being outdoors, and she even started planting as early as a child. Her favorite time of day was just after sunset, when it got too dark to see the plants. Wangari knew it was time to go home. She would follow the narrow paths through the fields, crossing rivers as she went. So Wangari really loved nature so much, she would wait until it is very dark, until it was night time, before she would go back home. Wangari was a clever child and couldn't wait to go to school, but her mother and father wanted her to stay and help them at home. When she was 7 years old, her brother persuaded her parents to let her go to school. So Wangari wasn't even going to school. She liked to learn. Wangari learnt more and more with every book she read. She did so well at school that she was invited to study in the United States of America. Wangari was excited. She wanted to know more about the world. So you see what learning does for you? It exposes you to a lot of amazing things. At the American University, Wangari learned many new things. She studied plants and how they grow, and she remembered how she grew, playing games with her brothers in the shade of the trees in the beautiful Kenyan forests. So Wangari never forgot home. The more she learned, the more she realized that she loved the people of Kenya. Remember, Wangari is from Kenya in East Africa. She wanted them to be happy and free. The more she learned, the more she remembered her African home. When she had finished her studies, she returned to Kenya. But her country had changed. Huge farms stretched across the land. So Wangari went back home after studying in the United States of America. Women had no wood to make cooking fires. The people were poor and the children were hungry. So no more beautiful forests, no more wood to make fires. Wangari knew what to do. She taught the women how to plant trees from seeds. The women sold the trees and used the money to look after their families. So Wangari was empowering other women too. The women were very happy. Wangari had helped them to feel powerful and strong. As time passed, the new trees grew into forests and the rivers started flowing again. Wangari's message spread across Africa. So Wangari was encouraging everyone to plant more trees. Today, millions of trees have grown from Wangari's seeds. Wangari had worked hard. People all over the world took notice and gave her a famous prize. It is called the Nobel Peace Prize, and she was the first African woman ever to receive it. So all that hard work paid off, and she got an amazing award for it. Wangari died in 2011, but we can think of her every time we see a beautiful tree. The end. Thank you, bookworms, for listening to this really touching and interesting story. I hope you learned something about planting trees and also how one woman changed everything in the environmental world. Have a lovely day.